Alright, how's it going everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day, and welcome to today's Pokemon Go video. Today we're going to be talking about Mega Heracross. I believe by the time you're watching this video, you probably collected enough Mega Energy to Mega Evolve this Pokemon, and you're wondering how you should build it up, what moves you should put on it, where you should use it, and that's precisely what I'm going to be talking about in this video. First and foremost, let's get down to the brass tacks. Heracross is going to be pretty good as a Mega Evolution. It's definitely going to be the absolute best Bug-type Mega Evolution, and when it comes to fighting types, it's certainly going to be useful. As with most Mega Evolutions, you're specifically going to be using this in raid battles, and I do think there's going to be some instances where it's going to be the absolute best of the best option. We'll get more into that later, but first let's talk about how you should build it up. Well, when it comes to Heracross, this Pokemon is going to be really good for raid battles and also PvP, but since you can't use Mega Evolutions in PvP, you will want to use it in raids, and that means you will want to go for the absolute best DPS. Now, when it comes to Heracross, I suggest going the Bug-type route. You can see here on my Heracross, I have Struggle Bug and Close Combat. That's not gonna work. You will want to go with Struggle Bug and Mega Horn. That's going to be the most ideal moveset in my opinion. The reason for that is because you're going to be using it specifically in raid battles against Pokemon that are weak against Bug. Why do I say that? Well, when it comes to fighting types, there is a much better option when it comes to Mega Evolutions, and I'm talking about Mega Blaziken. That Pokemon deals an incredible amount of damage, and I really do think that when it comes down to it, Mega Heracross is better suited as a Mega Evolution, specifically with the Bug typing. Now, there is a particular type that's going to be super weak against Mega Heracross, and that is, of course, the Dark typing. If you're going up against a Dark type raid boss that doesn't have the Flying typing as its secondary type, I'm looking at you, Yveltal, you will want to bring Mega Heracross. For Pokemon like Darkrai, this is going to be the absolute best option, as well as raid bosses like Hoopa. That's definitely going to be weak against this Mega Evolution. And again, you will want to bring Bug-type attacks. I think that's going to be the absolute best option, but Mega Heracross does have a lot of different moves that you could bring that will make it very effective. The one other thing to note is that it could also come with Close Combat, Earthquake, and Rock Blast. This gives it a lot of type coverage, especially if you plan to use this Pokemon against a Pokemon such as Yveltal. Unfortunately, that Pokemon does have a lot of threats up against Mega Heracross, specifically those flying type attacks, which are going to be double effective against this Pokemon. So in that particular instance, you will likely not want to bring Mega Heracross, but if it's your only option when it comes to Mega Evolutions, then you could go with Rock Blast to get yourself some type coverage. Really, it's going to be all about survivability at that point, so I highly suggest you go with different options, mainly because when it comes to Mega Evolutions, you want a high TDO so that it lasts longer in battle while still dealing a lot of DPS. Frankly speaking, that is one of Mega Heracross's big strengths, and what makes it more ideal compared to Mega Pinsir. That is a Pokemon that does deal a lot of damage, but it does have a far less TDO score compared to Mega Heracross, which means it's not going to last long in battle. In fact, I would say that Mega Heracross is going to be far superior when it comes to Bug types, mainly because it does have a higher DPS, but also a higher TDO. So between that and Mega Pinsir, which is the next best option, it's definitely going to be much more ideal for you to go with Mega Heracross. Now, when it comes to fighting types, it's a completely different story. You have Mega Blaziken, which deals an incredible amount of DPS compared to Mega Heracross, but it also has a much lower TDO score. That means it's a glass cannon. It's going to get knocked out very easily, and Mega Heracross may not necessarily have that issue. You might want to go with Mega Heracross over Mega Blaziken, mainly because it's going to last longer in battle. In that case, you will want to go with Counter and Close Combat. That move combination is going to make this a fighting type Mega Evolution, and it could be very useful in a variety of different situations. I do think that the type combination of Bug and Fighting actually synergizes really well, especially because there's a lot of different Pokemon that are strong against fighting types that are also weak against Bug types, and vice versa. So yeah, I do think that this Pokemon is incredibly versatile, but mainly you will want to use it as a Bug type Mega Evolution. Now, we currently do not have Shadow Heracross in the game, and that's okay. I mean, if you were to get a Shadow Heracross, I would suggest you purify it in order to get the Mega Evolution. I think it's going to be a lot more valuable compared to other Shadow Pokemon. Mega Heracross is definitely very powerful. It's going to be the best form of this Pokemon, and it'll be specifically for raids, which means IVs are going to matter. You can see right here, this Pokemon has 15 attack, 13 defense, and 15 health, I think this is pretty good. Like, you will want to have 15 attack regardless. That's mainly because when it comes to raid battles, attack is the most important stat. So when it comes to IVs, you will want to focus on your Heracrosses that have 15 attack. Those are the ones you should Mega Evolve, and if you are lucky enough to get a 100% IV, then that is definitely the one you will want to Mega Evolve and max out. Unfortunately, there's only one region in the world that's going to feasibly be able to max it out very quickly, and that is the south of the USA and the Central America region, because over there, Heracross is part of their regional spawns. Unfortunately for the rest of the world, the only way to get candies for Mega Heracross is of course through Heracross raids, as well as dumping all of your rare candies and rare candy XLs. And I don't necessarily think it's going to be worth it, mainly because when it comes to bug types, there's very few raid bosses that are going to be weak against it, and then when it comes to fighting types, you have Mega Blaziken, which is going to be much easier to max out. If you want to go the bug type route, then go for a Mega Pinsir, because getting a Pinsir is much easier, and getting the candies for it is also incredibly easy as well. Of course, that's really dependent on whether or not Pinsir is an event wild spawn, but Heracross is not necessarily ever going to be an event wild spawn because it is a regional, so you won't necessarily see it in the wild unless you live in the specific region. But if you do have access to candies, or you already have a bunch stocked up, because in the past we did have Heracross in raids, then I do think it's going to be worth it, because this Pokemon is far superior to Pinsir, and I also think it's going to be decently good in the fighting type realm as well. So this is definitely one of those Mega Evolutions that you should prioritize. It's not necessarily going to be S tier, but it's definitely going to be A+ tier. If you're watching this video before the Mega Heracross raid day, then I do suggest you go all out during this raid day, because there's going to be very few opportunities for you to get the Mega Evolutions and candies for your best Heracross. You should definitely take full opportunities to get all of that while you still can. And also don't forget that there is a boosted shiny rate during that raid day, so the chances of you getting a high IV shiny are going to be really good. So make sure you go all out during that raid day so that you can get yourself a good Heracross to Mega Evolve. And thank you so much for making it to this point in the video. If you ended up enjoying it, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And also don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to every single patron on my Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Jinsula channel, the absolute best way you could do so is by becoming a patron on my Patreon. If you become a paid member, you get a permanent spot on my in-game Pokemon GO friends list. So if you want to interact with me in some way within Pokemon GO, like with remote raids or the friendship system, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. Also, if you want to support my channel in a very different way that doesn't involve spending money, the free-to-play method is of course following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula, and I'm on the platforms that you see on screen. Go over there and give me a follow, and let's chat and interact together. And yeah, that's going to be it. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.